thanks everybody for coming. This is the latest in our fostering recruitment webinars, and this looks at remarketing. It's something that a lot of people know a bit about, or a fair bit about, but we're going to sort of explain everything that's required in order to get the most out of it and get as many foster carers in as possible through it. Okay, if you want to do the next screen, please, John-Paul. So if you've not been to a Fostering Hub webinar before, this is basically part of the whole Fostering Hub, where we share best practice, benchmark activities, so that every authority in the country, by pooling the knowledge, pooling best practice, pooling resources, if that's what we do, we'll all be able to recruit many more foster carers than we've got at the moment. So this is the webinar, like I said, that focuses on remarketing, and one of the aims of the hub is to get more foster carers in for every council and then bring the cost down. So the cost per approval of every approved household reduces over time. And the hub's only for councils and council-owned organisations only. So remarketing, we're going to look at what it is, how it works, why you should use it, and how to do it well. And I'm going to hand over to John-Paul to carry on.
Hello, thank you, John. So yes, before I go into technical detail, why have we chosen to look at remarketing? Well, it's one element of foster care recruitment marketing that's really important. And if you think about someone coming to your site and they're sort of interested, but they haven't signed up to your email yet, they haven't inquired properly, and they leave, it's up to them to come back to you. And they may not remember because other things happen. And really what remarketing is a gentle way of staying front of mind people and nudging them back to you versus others. And I'll give you more detail as we go through. But these people are so precious, so important. It's not just about the value and the savings that they give the council, but it's the start of a relationship with somebody. And how we pay attention to this and how we facilitate this and the messages that we give, we think are really, really important. And that's why we want to spend a bit of time on it. And I apologise, if I get a bit techie or jargony, do call me up on that, John. It's not so much that everyone has to understand every detail, but hopefully going through this, we'll get a sense of what it is, how it works, and how we could use it really, really well. So I'm going to show you some examples, and hopefully these will resonate with your online experience. So this is me yesterday, and I was looking, let me just quickly mute that one. I was looking for an analytics package. It's a nerdy thing that I get up to. So my experience starts with a search, and I look at analytics packages, and then I saw the ad for Aribi at the top there, and I go through to their site. I start the process of looking at the tags, but then I left. And then a little bit later on, I go onto Facebook on my desktop, and there I see an ad for Aribi. Okay, so what's happened there is I've searched, I've landed, I clicked accept, and then later on I've been remarketed with an ad for Aribi. So that would just nudge me back to the site and take me in again. I'm going to keep showing a few more examples. So this is another example. I'm going down to London tomorrow, and I was looking at train times. So I go on my phone and I go onto the Chiltern Railway site, click that I'm fine with this on cookies, and then an hour later, I'm looking at the news and an ad for Chiltern pops up. So another example of remarketing, but in this sense, it's remarketing cross-device. So somehow it knew that that phone and my desktop are the same person. Here's another one. This is contextual marketing. So this isn't like going to see one company and then getting that company again. This is, I searched for an energy switch. So I'm worried about how much I'm spending on heating. And I didn't click on any of the ads. I went to the ad down the bottom. And So not ad, the link down the bottom, went to their site. And then a short while later, I then got an ad for British Gas and for a broadband deal when I was looking at the news. So that was an example of I'm searching around energy and things like that, and then energy companies were able to remarket to me. And then a little bit later on my phone, I got a U-Switch ad as well. So hopefully you can sort of see the premise, which is doing things online triggers little things that advertisers can then target or retarget me or remarket to me with. So I just wanted to show you a little bit about how this all works, because I think if we understand how it works, then we can start to understand how to use it better. So main point to make, our consumption of media has changed radically in the past 10, 20 years, absolutely massively, from large pyramidal broadcasters to lots and lots of online platforms. And as we go around and use these platforms, it generates data. And this is a deliberately complex diagram of the sort of data that is collected as people go around the web. There's all sorts of things in there, but this data is then made available to ad exchanges. And so any advertiser in the world can use the sites and the data to create programs to target ads. Now, I know I'm going through this very fast, and it's not absolutely essential that everything is understood here, but it's just important that these are the sort of the pipes and the frameworks on which things happen. So what you can then do is you can have someone like this chap in the right who writes programs like these, which are basically saying, if you find this user who's just been to my site, my fostering page, on a news site, social media platform, information site, YouTube, anything like that, I want to show them a couple of ads over the next month or so. I want to show them one about myth busting. I want to show them one about a fostering event that we've got coming up. I want to nudge them to order a brochure, but low frequency, like just once, and just to sort of stay front of mind. I also want to set up another program where people that have done other things online, like search for foster care, things like that, and they're in certain locations, again, see a different set of ads. So that's remarketing to people based on what they've done online. And just to give you a sense of context, this sort of program-based, programmatic advertising now accounts for more than half of all ad spend. It may be even higher than that now because of lockdown and so on. So whenever someone spends £1, over 50% of it is in this sort of technology. And that's not, because people particularly like them, it's because it's measurable and you can see what happens as a result of it. So why should we use it? Well, when we run prospecting, putting that in front of every 25 to 55-year-old female in a certain area, for example, remarketing gets up to and above 10 times the interaction rate, the clicks, the view throughs, the shares, everything like that, to normal prospecting. So it's really, really responsive. In terms of post-click interaction, so when people land on your site, people that come in from remarketing spend, 60% of your interaction will probably come from these remarketing audiences. Or to put it another way, if you don't do remarketing, you're missing out on a massive chunk of potential interaction. And another reason that we as a hub should do it is that the IFAs, we think, are missing a little bit of a trick. So I just want to show you, as John says, how I put myself in the shoes of a potential foster carer and show you the experience. So I put into Google foster in Warwickshire. Now, Google suggested in Warwickshire, but I put in foster, and that's what came back. Now, as you can see, what's there is lots of ads for IFAs. And so I click on the first, one of the IFAs, and I go through to their site. Now, I've got this nifty bit of kit on my machine that lets me see what they're doing. Now, they've got some of these advertising trackers on there, which are like Google double click and Facebook custom audience. That means that they can now potentially start putting ads in front of me once I've left the site. So I went through to the form, started filling the form, but then I deliberately left. And after that, nothing happened. I haven't seen an ad for ISP as a result of it. So that's quite interesting. They're sort of geared up to do it, but they're not really spending time doing it to me anyway. So I tried it again. So I went again, fostering Warwickshire. Now, interestingly here, Oxfordshire County Council are buying search advertising in front of me, which is quite interesting. And so are the IFAs. But I went through this time to Nexus. Again, they place a lot of tracking on. One of the really interesting things is that each time that's being done, it's not actually being done in a compliant way with PCR or GDPR. It's being done before I've given consent. Just a note around doing this properly. But again, they put Facebook custom audience on me. And I then looked at Facebook quite a bit, and I didn't see an ad from them. So they're sort of set up, but they're not really taking advantage of this. And so, again, went to Compass Fostering, seeing that experience. They're sort of set up, but I don't think they're really doing it right or doing it properly. So we've seen all the search ads. You know, why are IFAs investing in that? Well, it's quite simple to do, and it's really easy to measure, and you can see what happens as a result of it, which means that councils should be doing it all the time, always on search, a bit like that Oxfordshire ad, but consistently. You should be in amongst every single search, because someone searching around fostering is a really good indicator, a really good potential lead. So always on search, as we said before. But why aren't IFAs doing remarketing very well? Well, we don't know. But remarketing is much harder to do and much harder to do well. And this is one of those wonderful little opportunities where, as a hub, we can probably do it better than any IFA could independently. We think it's a really good opportunity. So we can support everyone in here getting through all the range of hurdles. And we've run about 60-odd fostering campaigns. And so here's the benefit of our experience of that. So in essence, what we'd be doing here is with search and remarketing, we're building competitive advantage. So the basic layers of marketing are always on search and remarketing, never comes off, always there. Then maybe some targeted prospecting to bring more people to you, so you can then remarket to more people and you can outpace the IFAs in terms of proactive marketing. And then once that's all set up, then you go out and start doing the above the line stuff, you know, the bus backs, the posters, the out of home, a whole range of other things. Because every foster care is so valuable that it's really worth investing in bringing them in. You've got to have the right things in place. And by taking this approach, you'll build competitive advantage over the IFAs. So some tips on how to do remarketing well. Firstly, you need lots and lots of different ads. The consideration time period for becoming a foster carer is really long, and you don't want to get message fatigue. You don't want to send the same message, because after a while, people just shut off. So having lots of different ads, video, you know, foster carers talking about their experience, myth busting, things like, you know, I thought I couldn't foster because I had a dog or because I was benefits, things like that. Emotive drivers to make people think about the positive side. Sometimes as well, things about the negative side of the process, so you get good quality people coming through. Remarketing to foster with your council. I don't know the site, if any of you have seen it, that we've built to make the case for fostering direct with the council versus going to IFAs. So lots and lots of different ads, because the thing that's going to make someone inquire, you can't predict. So this is sort of like hedging your bets and having a really rich range of adverts being displayed to people that have interacted with your foster care page. The next thing is around, you know, that thing where you buy something online or you look for something online and then all you see for weeks is hundreds of ads for the same thing. That advertiser is basically paying to annoy you. Don't do that. It's really inefficient. It could put people off, could deter people from interacting with you. So frequency cap, keep 10 to 15 impressions of any one of these ads in front of people over a long period of time. Another point is, it's not just about remarketing. When someone submits a form or someone inquires or someone takes a step, you need to fire conversion pixels. what that means is that the remarketing stops, and also the platforms then know that that person got all the way through, and they'll try and do more of that lookalike modeling, finding more people like that. So you'll build intelligence, or will build intelligence together. And then, another point is, if we share data from remarketing together in the hub, we'll start to identify what messages and what creatives really, really work best. And then we can share them between us. So again, we'll compound that competitive advantage over the IFAs. So those are my sort of 4 top tips on how to do remarketing, how to do it well. And it really is worth investing time and energy in doing this right. Because the more time and energy you invest in this, those people who are slightly interested in active consideration, the more inquiries you'll get, the more quality inquiries you get, the fewer inquiries IFAs will get. So I think it's really the key battleground, or an area for development where we can really start to win out against them. This is just that fostering hub, which I probably shared before, but we're starting to collate data from lots of hub members. And we've got a few more submitting data last week. So we'll be able to show averages for the hub and then compare your interaction rates to the averages, so you can see where you might have bottlenecks. You can also see if everyone's down on inquiries. As you can see, they've dipped, here in one of the partners. That's really useful for saying to your seniors, look, inquiries are down across the board. But by sharing in this way, will compound the rate at which we're able to improve what we do, and particularly around remarketing. If you don't have the resources to create hundreds of videos or lots of creative, John and the team at West Cove created this really rich, beautiful creative suite, really designed for remarketing. You've got the emotive drivers up in there, these goosebump videos, which are fantastic. I think they're working really, really well. We've also got the sort of love and support, basically helping people build a picture of the future. We also have a Christmas campaign, which is going live now, which anyone can plug into, which is about getting people to think about fostering next year now, so we can sort of, again, outpace the IFAs over Christmas and get lots of people inquiring in the new year. Now, we've heard from a lot of people, maybe half of the people we speak to, that they get remarketing, they want to do it, but the web team says that you can't. Now, you can. It's totally legal. GDPR and PCR created a legal framework to do these things, not a barrier to stop. So we can take you through this process with any member of the web team. We've been through it many, many times before. So do they have a consent management platform? Is that installed properly? That gives you your sort of legal basis for, your compliant basis for doing this. Are they already using analytics? Probably yes. So good. That demonstrates that we can do this properly. And then to put across that this is compliant with PCR, the ICO use analytics, cookies, things like that on their own site. So you can too. And just reassure that this is being done in your belt and braces, compliant, safe way. Also show them other councils that are doing it, show the business case, take them through this sort of process so they understand the application and understand how important it is. But if you find someone who's just, flat no for whatever reason, good or bad, you can route around. So you can use the form that we've developed. So you can take someone from a Facebook ad, for example, into this form, and then the form can send you emails and get around it that way. So if you found it, if you tried to do this in the past, but come up against barriers, let us help you get through that process, because as again, it's really, really worth investing in. You can build audiences basically once you've got the pixels in. Anyone that visits that foster care page and clicks accept, you'll be able to put messages in front of them and nudge them towards you rather than somewhere else. So particularly if you're running out of home or starting to run search, it's so important that you capture these people to nudge them across and you get their consent. Just to show you where remarketing sort of fits in, you're probably all aware of the marketing funnel that goes from, not being aware to awareness of fostering. Probably not that well educated, but fostering is a thing. Then into consideration, like, oh, I see. So people do it at these sorts of stages. Then into active consideration. Could we do it? What should we maybe have a look at this? Would this be a nice thing to do? Would we like to do it? And then into action, which is booking with you, coming to an event, inquiring, ringing, whatever. Now, to sort of lay this out, I've had to sort of turn the funnel around a little bit and then stretch it out. Now, anyone who's a designer, I apologize for the pixelation and things like that, but this was the best way that I could describe how this sort of works. You've got a very, very long awareness to consideration phase, years. I've heard averages of 2 years, 3 years. And during that time, they might see one of the ads on your council-owned inventory for free. They might see something on Instagram. They'll have a conversation with a friend. They'll be thinking about it, and then moving into sort of consideration. They might do some search. They might come to a web page. And then when it's in that sort of active consideration phase, that's when the remarketing really pays off. And that bit is actually, comparison to the sort of awareness to consideration phase, that period is relatively quick. We're talking weeks, maybe months, to nudge someone through from active consideration to action. So we're really applying all of this energy at that bottom phase. You can see the IFAs only come in at the search phase in the middle. So they're just hoping that you've kind of generated interest and they can just divert them to you at the last minute. But if you've got remarketing in place, you can gently placing things in front of people, showing them why they should go direct with the council, nudging them through to you. So it's applied behaviour change, and it's about giving people as many gentle opportunities to nudge them through to inquiring. And remarketing is such an important part. It's that kind of close at the end that brings them to your door rather than somebody else's. I apologise as well for the range of different brands on this, but I was just trying to get things that demonstrated what we were talking about. Obviously, when you're doing it, it'll be your own branding. So that's really remarketing. If anyone has any questions, is there anything in there that I didn't explain well that someone would like some more clarity on?
There's a few questions in the chat, John-Paul.
Yes.
First one from Naomi. Do you have any advice on how to use conversion pixels? Any guidance you could point us in the direction of?
Yes. So the trick is to put it at the completion of a key point. So the thank you for inquiring page is a really good one to put it on. Certainly don't put conversion pixels all over the site, because what will happen is the platforms will think, oh, great, I'm winning all the time. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. You need to put the conversion pixel just on the point where someone has submitted the inquiry. Even better, when they get their login to the foster care portal, once they've been approved, have a conversion pixel there too. Because what that'll do is it'll tell the platforms where that person came from, what nudged them through, and the buying platforms will get better and better at doing this. So deploy conversion pixels very sparingly and just at those key points.
Great, thanks for that. There's one from Liverpool City Council. Would you say remarketing to warm audiences in Facebook or display ads via Google or YouTube would perform best? We've tried all the above and they never perform as well as the main campaigns.
Yes. Okay, so there's a few bits to that. So the main campaigns going out and prospecting, they're good. They might work as remarketing. They might bring in people who are already considering and bring them straight through to you. Remarketing on Facebook will generate very high click-through rates. Google and YouTube will be lower click-through rates, but post-click transactions are really high, especially if you're placing stuff around news. So I would say, don't worry so much about trying to optimize to one channel or the other. I would say have a really good marketing mix, and all you care about is being in front of the right person at the right time, wherever they are online, within obvious constraints. So, don't limit yourself to one platform, or don't expend out of one and bring it to the other, because you just don't know. Not everyone uses Facebook. Not everyone uses search. They might use Bing. Not everyone uses these things. And the value of every foster care inquiry is a good few £100. And so it's worth being in many places at the same time. But I would say structure your campaign like this. Start with search and remarketing, layer on prospecting, and then do the above the line stuff. And once you've lined it up like that, everything.
Yeah, well, interest as well.
Okay. Next question from Marie, referring to the videos, can we access those videos? Absolutely, yeah. They're, if you, I'll get in touch with you afterwards, and we'll just set up an exchange so it can work out, you know, what's going to work best for you, and so on. Then a message from David. How is it actually done? Is there software to use?
Yes. Let me just, sorry, I'm just going to pop the Fostering Hub link in the chat so everyone can see where the videos are. If you sign up, you can get in there. So is there software to use? There are scheduling platforms and things like that you can use. You'll probably need to have a buying account on Facebook Business, Google, and ideally another one like Basis or AppNexus, because that will mean you can reach everything. Google will do search, some display, and YouTube. Facebook will do Facebook and Instagram, and then you can buy others to get on sort of the news site, the contextual buying side of things. So there are buying platforms. AppNexus is one. Just be careful though, because there are monthly spend minimums that you need to hit. They're normally, you know, a few $1,000s, which is worth it. But you sort of need to be planning to spend on that front. But you can also go direct into the platforms and manage it yourself. So much like doing boosted posts or doing a few search ads, it's the same platforms, but you just need to give them wider criteria and more complex criteria.
Great, thanks for that.
Good. Is that all the questions?
That's all questions for now, yeah.
Brilliant, John. Right, I'll move on to your slide.
Super. Yeah, so this is where we go back to putting ourselves in the shoes of a potential foster carer. The landing page where you send someone after you've you know, warmed them up, remarketed to them, and they've decided, yes, I'm going to click through. The page that they land on is crucial. Make sure it's as strong as it possibly can be. I've seen a lot of links just go straight to like a fostering homepage where people can kind of get lost. But ideally you want to create a specific page for them to land on, which contains a form that sells the service. It's got a strong image or a couple of strong images, particularly which are sort of linked to whatever branding you've got out there. Sell the service with a little bit of copy, maybe a couple of 100 words of copies. That's all it's needed. It's just that thing of, you know, take the next step, get in touch with us, make it easy for them to make contact, you know, and then decide what they want to do. Is it they just want a brochure, or do they want to book a visit, or do they want to come to an information event? Are you okay to click over the next screen, please, John-Paul? Smashing, thank you. So this is the form. Some of you will have seen this before. This is the inquiry form that we created, which is free for you to use. If you want this, then we're happy to provide it for free. And this is the optimized form that is basically going to generate as many inquiries as you can through those click-throughs, rather than, like say, sending them just to a general fostering page where somebody might get lost, or sending them to a page that's got a clunky form that they might not want to fill in. Okay, next page, John-Paul, please. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit again, as John-Paul was saying, about all the creative and stuff you use, mixing up all the different types of ads that you put out there and across the different platforms. We've now got a really big bank of images, the fostering images, which are all of people in Britain doing everyday stuff. Can we have the next slide as well, please, John-Paul? Next slide. Go up, brilliant. So this is just a representation of them. We've got over 200 images, including a lot of Christmas themed ones. And if you click over onto the next slide, please, John-Paul. These are some that we've created assets from, which are all available to buy immediately. So if you're stuck for a Christmas campaign, these are basically off the shelf. We can supply them today if you need to. The cost for the image library is £300, and like I say, that's a bank of over 200 images. And if you just want the Christmas assets, these ones here, that would be an extra £150. So if you are interested in those, obviously just get in touch. I'll put mine and John-Paul's emails in the chat if you don't have our emails already. But please just get in touch. Next slide, John-Paul, please. Okay, and this back to you, John-Paul, for room.
Yes. So you may remember John's session last time, if you're able to make it, on the on events and sort of best practice for running events. I'm just going to pull up this slide. People were asking about hybrid, in-person, and there's limitations to Zoom. I know we're on Zoom at the moment, Teams, but we've been on thousands of meetings like that. It's not necessarily the most exciting of platforms. And it made us think of a piece of technology. And we wanted to host this foster care hub in here, but there's too many of you to host at the same time. So we've done a little recording for you, which I'm going to share with you now. So this is, just to be clear, this is us in a virtual space recorded, playing through a webinar into something that is also being recorded. So it's many layers to this, but hopefully this will work and you'll be able to hear and then see this technology in some of its applications. So if I just go like this, I just want to make sure, just give me one moment, that I'm sharing all the share sound. Okay. Could you just give me a nod if this is working? Okay. Hello, Foster Care Hub. We're in a new piece of technology. After John's brilliant session last Hub on events, virtual, in-person, we thought about our colleague Tiff from Westco, who's helping councils use this technology for all sorts of things. Do you want to introduce us, Tiff?
Thanks so much. Yes, mine's Tiffany St. James, and I'm the Associate Digital Director at Westco. And we just wanted to show you briefly what this technology can do and how it might be useful for you. So first of all, it's audio spatial technology, which means that when we're near each other, we can see and hear each other. But if John-Paul moves away from me, you'll be able to see me or hear me. So you get more private conversations in a small space. We've put a whole room together here, but we've pinned some video content, and if you move up near that video content,
school in my
video you can hear.
I was getting into trouble.
Carers content here. There's another one just over here.
Isn't too late.
We're near the video, we can hear and see it. And John-Paul zoom out so we can see the whole room, and we'll go down the stairs here.
It's really easy to just drag and drop yourself around the place.
Yeah, it works really well on mobile too. You just put your finger on the screen and drag it around. So we've got another video content which any host can kind of zoom into and ask you to learn. But what's quite fun is you can pin surveys in here as well. And if John-Paul double clicks on it, then he can get into it and fill in his name and his details. So you take people around, show them different content, video, PowerPoints, moving slides, surveys. Anything you want to say about it, John Cooper, John-Paul?
Yeah, it's there's loads of opportunities to use it in a fostering context. If you send somebody here from a fostering advert or just a link on the website, there's so much more you can show in here than just on a single page of a website. Obviously, lots of different videos. It's easy to sort of flip around the room and look at different things. You've got the contact form there as well, that's interactive. I'd imagine you get people spending a lot more time on here and looking at more things than you would if you just sent them to a standard landing page.
Absolutely. There's normally like a huge sort of iceberg of wonderful creative that doesn't make it onto fostering landing pages. And this is a really good way to show it to everyone, and a really interactive, exciting experience as well versus landing on a form or a page.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun, and people are enjoying conversing in it, I guess. You can make different backdrops. You can make it look like a town hall. You can make it look like any room if you like. But I'm just going to show you a different room that has a slightly different functionality. So on the right-hand side, you'll see a list of breakout rooms, and we'll click on the first breakout room, and I'll see you there. So this is a training room where we pin different content, and John-Paul, if you zoom out, or you may have done that already, people get to see the whole room. And what this enables us to do is to have different content in different rooms, and people can sit and around these 12 seats can hear and see each other. But actually, if you went within another room, you can't hear and see everyone with ability as the host to put myself on megaphone so everyone can hear me, but also as a trainer or a host, I've got the ability to share particular content, and we can give other people kind of hosting responsibilities. So literally opening up a PowerPoint in another window and dropping your PowerPoint, and to get people to be able to share different things within here, which as a host you might want to share with things with people as a whole room.
That is brilliant. It's so many applications, I think, for moving from very low quality Zoom and Teams calls into something that's much more engaging, much more exciting, and likely to hold people's attention.
Absolutely. I'm thinking of, say, like skills to foster training. When you deliver that over Teams and Zoom, you really are limited by the technology as to how many people you can engage effectively. Although Zoom has the breakout rooms, it's a little bit clunky and trying to like retrieve people from the rooms and stuff. But here, you can see who's in which room with which people. So you could really deliver, like say, skills to foster train to a lot of people in one go. As long as you've got enough staff and facilitators, you can rotate people around. For information events, where people want to have private conversations with carers or staff, you can move into a little room so that your conversation's private. And there's probably lots of things we haven't even thought about yet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for showing us around, Tiff. I think this tech, if we apply it well, will mean that when people do interact with an ad or a post, they'll get a much richer experience. They're probably more likely to share this kind of thing with people as well. And anything that gives us an advantage over an IFA, I think is something really, really exciting and something we need to drive forwards together as a hub.
Well, that's absolutely right. And if anyone wants to pop in and have a meeting with it and just share it with you, they're very, very welcome to. And you can just pop in here and kind of check it out. I mean, like you said, it's great. It's easy to be able to share a link and get people straight in here. So yeah, get in touch with John-Paul or John Cooper if you want to pop in here and check it out.
That's a brilliant idea. Thank you so much, Tiff. Yes, if you want to, I think that's enough of that. So yeah,
sorry,
go on, John.
Yeah, you carry on. There's just another question coming. That's all.
It's just that this is about sharing tech and showing new things, and we don't really know quite how that can be used, but we've seen it now, and maybe we can build foster care exhibitions to make much richer experiences for people. And as you said, make training and meet the foster care events more engaging. And those templates are all changeable, and we can see a number of applications just to make the experience of application more enjoyable, richer for people.
Definitely. Yeah, the question says, what about email marketing as a remarketing tool? I feel we should use this as a low-cost option more. Have you seen anything work particularly well in this area?
Yeah, well, a lot of our partners have used Granicus or Gov Delivery and have their own sort of foster care list, so that when people sign up, they can then receive emails in the future. There are platforms as well that enable you to extend from an email subscription out into Facebook and other platforms like that. But yes, anything that you can do, anything that is cost effective, time effective, you should try and do and see what works. Also, if you do something for a long time and it doesn't work, you can just stop. But yes, definitely staying in touch by email, staying in touch with WhatsApp Business. There's a whole range of different approaches, and you don't really want to exclude any individual based on channel choice. So a bit like talking about remarketing, it's like try and be as omni-channel as you can and look for the things that work best, measure all the time and see what's working best for you.
Thanks for that. We've got another question. What kind of costs would we be looking at with the room?
So I think building one from scratch, you're looking at about £1,000. And then depending on the levels of facilitation and things like that you need, it's a few £100s a month. So again, we haven't quite nailed how to use it, but maybe a foster care exhibition so someone can click from a Facebook ad and land straight there. That could be quite an interesting application. We could maybe have a shared one for the hub about general foster care. There's a lot of ways we could spread costs between us. But if any of you, as Tiff said, if any of you want to have a meeting with us and see it for yourself, just drop John a line and we'll book a time in. Because I think when you experience the tech and see how easy it is, it works from mobile, works from tablets, things like that. It's just quite interesting. So yes, in comparison to hosting an in-person event, if you consider time and all those sorts of things, it's quite good value, and it can be there, always on all the time for you.
Great, thanks for that. Yeah, as John-Paul said, just the economies of scale of us all kind of chipping in together. What could work is a kind of a license where somebody sort of books it and in particular uses it for an event, somebody else uses it for a few days as a landing page, or however we work it, just like I say, just to bring those costs down by us all contributing together. We don't have any more questions in the chat unless anybody else has any more.
There's one here, could we share training on Vroom?
Yeah,
I think so.
Why not?
It's designed for it sort of seems like a much improved business interaction application, but I think there's something so strong about that sort of training room setup. You can have up to 50 people at any one time. So I don't know whether you'd actually want to do it that way, but there's plenty of room to do that. And then you could also, you could have the training room set up, but then take people into other areas to show them a whole range of different content. So absolutely, I think training's a really strong application, and the landing exhibition page setup is a really good idea as well.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any more questions? This has been recorded, by the way, as it always is. So everybody here will be sent the link of the recording once it's rendered, and then links to everything else. So if you've got any other questions on anything, obviously just come straight back to us.
Recording in progress.
Marvelous. Just so you know, in terms of things we're working on, in terms of the campaign hub, there is the Christmas campaign side of things. The West Coast deck is now. The West Coast deck is now. I'm going to mute that. Hold on. And we're seeing more and more people sharing data now. So we have about 12 councils now at various stages of putting inquiries and approvals against marketing activity. So we're getting closer and closer to seeing an average cost per inquiry, cost per approval, which I think is going to be key in the next couple of months in terms of justifying marketing investment for financial year 22-23. So we want to build that and get that as rich as possible, and also for you to be able to compare what's happened in the last year with other people to help support business cases for investing in the right things next year.
Great. Yeah, there doesn't seem to. Oh, another question coming. What would be required from us as a council to join the hub?
Well, you're kind of in it already, and you don't have to do anything. Just come along and be a part of it. If you want to start the data comparisons, we just need inquiries, or marketing interactivity inquiries and approvals by month since January. That's what we're measuring everyone else. Send them to me. If you want to have a conversation, just drop me a line, I'll take you through it. And then if you go to the link further up in the chat to Westco, register there, and then all the assets that we share. I mean, some people shared foster care event presentations last week, didn't they? So they've been put in there, and there's going to be more and more. The Christmas crate is going to be in there. The hub data is going to be in there. So definitely sign up to that. That will make sure that you've got access to everything, and you'll probably get alerts when new content's added. So you don't have to do anything. And then there are lots of things that you can do if you so wish. Our aim is to have everything that you might need. You might have gaps in some places, and so we can help you temporarily or perennially fill those gaps. That's the point of the hub. And then hopefully together we'll get much better, reduce cost per approval, improve transparency, analytics, everything like that, and then give ourselves a really strong advantage as a group over the IFAs. Thank you, Naomi. And thank you, V. Laggett-Mead, as well.
Yeah, I think that's it then, unless anybody does have any questions. Obviously, our emails are both in the chat. This recording will be sent to you, so you can review it any time, get in touch with us any time to talk about anything that you want to, really.
Thank you so much for your time, everyone. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.